Okay, welcome back, guys, to another episode of LDCC Sports Zone. And today we got the schedule released, so we're going to be going over who plays who benefits the most from the schedule, who has it the hardest, and we're going to talk a lot about why certain matchups matter with people signing up for a certain amount of percentages, and we're going to try to predict who will do the best throughout the season based off of the scheduling and just everybody's seeding, I guess, for all the teams. So I'll let Garrison go first.
Okay, so to start, then I guess we can just start with who we think got the easiest schedule. All right, and so looking through the schedule, looking at the games, then I think I would have to go with Ashton. Ashton would be my pick for the easiest. He does play Ortel twice, which is my number one seed. But other than that, he has a game against Dylan and he has a game against Mason. And so Ashton's my pick for the easiest schedule. And then for the hardest schedule for me, I'm going to go with you, Jonah.
That's the hardest.
I think you got the hardest schedule. You have Zach twice, you have Mason twice, and you have Ortel twice. And so, yeah, I'm going with you for the hardest.
Well, so here's the thing: is that playing Ortel's team, that is a rough matchup, and I feel like if I win the first game, Ortel's team will make adjustments to win the second game. If I lose the first game, I will try to make adjustments to win the second game. So I feel like I'll be able to split those. And with Zach's team, I feel like I'll win one of those games because I think Ren will only show up to one of those. And if Ren's not there, I really like my chances against Zach's team. And I mean, they could shoot great and make it a lot tougher, but I'm confident that we can win if Ren's not there. And as far as Mason's team goes, I feel the same way. I feel like if I lose, I can make adjustments to win the second game. If I win the first game, they're really good at making adjustments and they can win the first game. So I feel like I'll split all three of those. So I'll be 3-3 after playing those guys, and then playing against Ashton's team. I was talking to Brayson. I think he's going hunting that first game we play Ashton's team. So that one will be a lot easier to win. And playing against Dylan Kingston's team, I like how my team matches up against him, and I feel like I can win that game. So going off of that, I feel like I can end up with the record, and I'm about 5-3.
5-3?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay. So who do you think has the easiest schedule?
I think Zach plays against my team, and he plays against your team twice, so that's not an easy schedule. I think Ashton's team has the easiest schedule, and it's not just because he plays certain teams twice. I mean, well, it is that, but at the same time, Ren can only sign up for 50%. And so I think Ren's going to be missing one of the games that he plays against Ashton because after seeing who will be the bottom three teams, then they're going to need to be able to beat that tiebreaker with those guys. So I feel like he's going to not show up to one of Ashton's games to show up to one of those other games so that they can have that tiebreaker.
Ashton only plays Zach once, week 3.
I could have sworn I thought he played him twice.
No, the teams Ashton plays twice are Ortel, Dylan, and Mason.
Oh, he plays Mason twice?
Yeah. So, but I guess we both agree Ashton has the easiest schedule. I think your team has the hardest schedule. What do you think?
I mean, here's based off of the teams and the size and stuff difference. Ashton has a pretty tall team. He will get more shot attempts than most teams playing against him that are a little bit smaller. I mean, you guys have a couple of big guys, but his big guys are picked at a higher round and know how to use that to an advantage, I guess. But for example, like if Ashton's team plays against Troy's team, I bet they shoot about 10 to 15 more shots just off of rebounds, and that comes in huge when you're trying to win a game, whether it's by 2 points or 10 points. So, I mean, I only played against Ashton's team once, and it sounds like he's not gonna have Brayson there.
How long is Brayson hunting for? Is it just that 1 week?
I'm pretty sure it's just that 1 week. He might miss one later on, but I'm pretty sure it's just that 1 week.
Okay. Well, I guess we can get into teams' individual records then. So the way I did mine, I was basing it off of Ren showing up for the first week and going every other week after that. So Ren will play weeks 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then he'll have a rest week in week 8 right before the playoffs. Now, obviously, that might change if Zach's team is, if they're struggling to start. I think he'll more strategically place his matchups. Like if they're playing a tough team that maybe they might not win anyway, whether Ren's playing or not, then maybe he'll sit out for that game. But when they're playing the teams that they know they can win with Ren, maybe he'll come in and play those. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. But I base mine based off of Ren playing week 1, 3, 5, and 7. And so we can start with week 1. We have Mason versus Zach. And I have Zach winning that game. That's assuming Ren is there.
Okay.
Then we have Ashton versus Jonah. I have Jonah taking that game. And we have Ortel versus Dylan, and I have Ortel with that game. And then going on to week 2, we have Ortel versus Ashton. I think Ortel's going to take that game.
Yep.
Okay, Dylan versus Mason. I have Dylan taking that game over Mason, which might surprise some people with that pick. I was going through looking at the rosters as I was making my predictions, and I was looking at like how they were matching up against each other, and Dylan's team doesn't have like a Troy that Mason's team has, but they have Brady, and they have Ephraim, and then they got they have like Daniel Stoddard, right? Mm-hmm. So they got playmakers, they got bigs with Dylan. I just think they just have more size than Mason. And I think the size is good.
I'm pretty sure every other team in the league has more size than Mason.
Yeah, and so I think that they have enough skill with their top 2 to keep up with Troy, and then their size will just dominate Mason's size.
And that's the thing is if Mason's team is making threes every time they make twos, the threes are slowly gonna start building up and building up and building up. As long as Mason's team shoots efficient, they're gonna be a hard team to beat regardless of size.
Yeah. Okay, well, so it sounds like you think Mason might take that game.
I think it'll be close. I think a lot of the games this year will be close. I don't think we'll have very many blowouts like we have in the past years. And that's one of the things with this year in basketball, then looking at all the schedules and the people on paper and different things. Every team has potential to be number one. They just need to figure something out. For some teams, it's 2 or 3 things. For other teams, it's just one thing, but it's a big one thing. And they just need to figure it out, and every player has to play their role. And if you play the law of averages, every game's going to be close. But players aren't going to do what they're supposed to because basketball is all about decision making. So we're going to end up seeing what happens.
Okay. And then to wrap up week 2, I got Jonah versus Zach. I have Jonah taking that one. Assuming Ren isn't there, I think that you guys should be able to get that one pretty easy. Then moving on to week 3, Jonah versus Dylan.
I'm looking right at it. It says you have Dylan taking that one.
Yep, I got Dylan on that one.
I'll let you go first because I didn't put that much before thought. I'll let you talk and then I'll go after.
Okay, so I have Dylan taking the first matchup against Jonah, week 3. Reasoning behind that, so my thought process with your team. So if you double team if Jonah gets double teamed, where does the ball go?
The ball gets passed out for a wide open 3.
But to who though?
I got Lucas on my team, Garrett on my team, Dylan Reynolds on my team, and Ben Keekson on my team. They all shoot pretty good from 3.
Okay. So my reasoning behind this is shut down Jonah's team.
You can say the same thing about your team.
You can.
You have less shooters than me.
That's debatable. But
No, it's a fact. You have you, James, and Phil. And Phil has been stepping it up, I will admit.
And Dallas.
And I mean, he's not really known for shooting though. He can, but he's not known for it, you know?
And Ortel's been like the
I will give him 10 feet of space every time and let him launch a 3 every play. Every single play. Are you willing to bet a game on that? Because I'll do it.
The thing with Ortel, he doesn't ever shoot a lot of threes, but I've been looking the past couple of years, and he's in the 30s. He's like higher than anybody else besides me. Last year, I don't remember for sure. I'd have to go back and check. He might have been second right behind me, like actually.
I haven't
but
paid that much.
He doesn't shoot that much. I was just kidding about him being a 3-point threat. But anyway, So Jonah gets double teamed. Or shut Jonah down, shut down Jonah's team, you know.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see if Dylan's team can do it, but I have Dylan there.
Okay.
Mason versus Ortel, I have Ortel. Zach versus Ashton, I got Zach. That's, Ren should be there. That should be an easy one for him. Going to week 4, Ortel versus Jonah, I have Ortel once again.
Okay.
Okay, then we go Dylan versus Zach. I have Dylan on that one. Ren's not there. I think Zach's team will have a tough time with the size. It kind of depends on how Jared is feeling and playing this year.
And Zach's team could just run zone, put Jared down low, and then play the game of averages.
They could, but Dylan has a big team. Zach has Ben Scott too, though.
And he has Patrick.
And Patrick.
So they can easily run zone. Jared in the middle, Patrick and Ben on the side, and then just.
So the thing I'm more worried about with Zach's team when Ren isn't there is the offense. I'm more worried about the offense than the defense.
I mean, I'm sure Zach would be happy with taking 30 shots a game.
And he's going to have to when Ren's not there. But anyway, I got Dylan there. Ashton versus Mason, week 4. I have Mason picking up his first win in week 4.
In week 4.
All right.
Okay.
So Mason doesn't get a win until week 4. And up to this point, Ashton hasn't even gotten a win yet. Okay. Moving over to week 5. Dylan versus Ashton. I have Ashton picking up his first win in week 5. I think his team takes a little bit to get going. I think they can finally start picking it up around week 5. They can get the win over Dylan. Zach versus Ortel. Okay, Ortel is 4-0 up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Zach at 2-2 up to this point. Okay, assuming Ren comes back for week 5, I think that Zach will take the win there over Ortel, over me. Then I have Jonah versus Mason. I have Mason mainly because of what you're saying with the shooters. If they're shooting efficient,
yeah.
How are you going to stop them if they're shooting well? So they will live and die by the 3 though. So you catch them on an off night and it should be an easy win.
The Houston Rockets all over again.
Yep. Catch Mason on a bad night and you'll probably get a win.
Yeah.
But anyway. Week 6, we got Jonah versus Zach. I have Jonah taking that one once again. Ren, looks like so you play Zach twice, and
I play Zach twice. You
based
twice,
off
and
my
Mason twice.
schedule, that I'm stinking Ren will be on. You dodge Ren both times, so I got Jonah there. Mason versus Dylan. I have Mason picking up his 3rd win in a row against Dylan. So he started out 0-3. Week 6, he's 3-3. And then I have Ashton versus Ortel. I got Ortel on that one. Going to week 7. Dylan versus Ashton. I have Ashton picking that win up, and that will give Ashton the sweep over Dylan on the year. Zach versus Ortel. That's another game I'm thinking Ren's going to be at. I think Ortel does win that one. We come back. We adjust. Tie the series up for the season, and I think that Ortel will get that win. Then I have Jonah versus Mason. I have Mason once again. You could split this series. Depends on the night that you catch Mason on, I guess, or Mason's team on. But I have Mason beating you 2-0 this year. And then to wrap it up in week 8, Ashton versus Mason. I think Ashton takes that game. He'll split the series with Mason 1-1. Ortel versus Jonah. I have Ortel. And Zach versus Dylan. I have Zach. I think that's the one game I have Zach winning without Ren.
So then what's your standings for everybody at the end of the year?
And so standings, we have Ortel at 7-1. Okay?
Yeah.
Zach at 4-4 or 4-4. Mason at 4-4. Zach has the tiebreaker over Mason. And so Zach gets the 2 seed, Mason gets the 3 seed. And then I have Dylan, Jonah, and Ashton. They all went 3-5. And going back through the tiebreakers, unfortunately Dylan has the tiebreaker over you guys and Ashton, I believe. Actually, so it's actually Ashton has the tiebreaker over Dylan. Dylan has the tiebreaker over you guys, and I think you guys I have having the tiebreaker over Ashton. And so you guys will all have a 3-5 record, tiebreakers with all 3 of you guys, and so it doesn't go off of head-to-head at that point. I don't remember what happens at that point. I'd have to go back and check, but the 4 seed, whoever comes out on top of that tiebreaker of 3-5. Then regardless of that, Ortel plays whatever team comes out on top of that in the first round of playoffs. I give that game to Ortel. Zach versus Mason. Ren should be back for that game. I go to Zach on that game. And then for the championship, Ortel versus Zach, I go Ortel. And I don't know how Ren's going to do the playoffs. I don't know if the playoffs are going to be like one game a week or if they're going to like shove in a Monday and a Wednesday game this year. I don't know, but Ren's at the end of his season. I think that Ortel can take that game from him and win the championship. So that's what I got.
Okay, so I got some more time to review the schedule. I think Dylan has the easiest schedule, actually, looking at it. Just the people that he plays. He plays Zach twice. He only plays me once. I believe he only plays you once as well.
You got Zach, Ashton, and Mason twice.
Yeah, so he doesn't play. He only plays me and you once. So I feel like he has the easiest schedule after looking at it. And so here's how I think the season's going to play out. I think my team will go 6-2. I feel like my team, if that schedule, going off of that, if we don't play Ren twice, if Ren's not playing twice, then my team can get 2 of those wins. Mm-hmm. And instead of splitting, like I was talking about earlier, then that leaves my team at 6-2.
Okay.
So, and then I feel like Mason's team, Ortel's team, will go 5-3. I feel like Ashton and Zach's team will be competing for the last playoff spot at 4-4, and then I think Dylan's team will go 2-6.
2-6.
Yeah,
with the easiest schedule.
With the easiest schedule. Even then, and it's not saying Dylan's team's bad. It's based off of what I have seen, because we've been playing some scrimmage games and stuff. It's when there's 2 minutes left in the game and you need somebody to score you the ball. A lot of those players can get a shot off, but not a high quality shot. Right? There's certain shots to where if there's 2 minutes left and Garrison has the ball, you don't want him to have the ball because you can get high quality shots off. You, Troy, I'm starting to get to that point. Mm-hmm. But it's just players like get the ball out of his hands. We don't want this guy shooting at anybody else but him. On his team, he has 2 people to where you're like, do we let him get it? Do we give it to the other guy? Do we give it to Brady? Do we have Ephraim take it? And since he has 2 people, as a team, they need to decide who's taking that shot. They need to decide who's the one being the point guard. They have to decide some things. But based off what I see now, I feel like their team will only be able to pull out 2 wins. But if they can figure it out, then their team's going to be just as hard as anybody else to beat. It just depends if they can figure it out. If I can figure out a few things for my team, then my team's going to be a lot better. If your team can figure out how to move the ball really well, if you're double teamed, or to where you don't have to be the one with the ball every time, and that's why James Stevens is going to be really valuable for your guys' team. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of if you can figure it out. And so looking at them, some teams have more issues than others, but Dylan's team has the most stuff they need to figure out. If they can figure it out, I do not want to play that team. But if they can't, then it won't be as hard as playing like your team or a Troy's team where they're on the same page and you just have to hope, okay, I hope he misses this, just different things like that.
Yeah.
So, but as far as Zach's team, then I feel like, so if Ren shows up to 4 out of the 8 games, I feel like there's one game he shows up to where the other team's just shooting lights out and there's nothing you can do. I feel like it's bound to happen. I feel like it happens at least 2 to 3 games every year. I mean, it's not just Zach specifically, but I feel like that's going to happen one of the times. And at that point, it's like, what do I do, man? Like, there's just not much you can do. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I think his team will be 4-4. I mean, they do play Dylan twice, so maybe they can pull out a win there. I mean, Larson likes shooting the ball a lot, and if he's shooting, he wins at least one game every year by himself. So there's a lot of different factors into it, but I mean, we don't have a lot of time to go over all that. Maybe we'll go over it in a later video, but that's how I have everybody at. And then I clearly think if we go into brackets, I don't think who it matters. Whoever I play against in the playoffs, I'm going to win. Yep. So as far as standings go, then my plan is to win this year, and I really do feel like I have the team to do that. So I assume you can say the same thing.
Of course. Yep. All right. Well, that about wraps it up then.
Okay. Let's go over JV. So for JV, then they didn't release the schedule yet. Once the schedules get released, we'll make a video. We'll talk about some of the JV teams, and we'll talk about some more of the players and some different things like that. But there's a lot of people in JV that are a lot of young ones, so it's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, to say the least.
Yep, and most of the JV players this year I've I don't know if I've ever watched. I mean, I've seen them, but I haven't like sat down and watched them. So, yeah, that'll be a fun one to try to break down. I guess see if we can predict that at all.
That'll be interesting too because we're outside of the JV circle, so we're kind of like, this team looks tall, this team looks like they have a little bit of skill, and we can put something together. But we're gonna be cheering for our fantasy, cheering for some certain players.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I drafted right. And if you see any of the varsity people at the JV games just cheering for random people, then you know why.
Yep.
But I think that about covers it for the video. If you want us to cover anything else in the future, let us know down below in the comments. I think that was a good video.
Yeah. If you want to come and be a guest on our show, then let us know and we'll try to work something out. We do plan on having some guests in the future, so yeah, let us know. You can let me or Jonah know personally. You can put it in the comments. We don't care, but let us know if you want to be a guest and what you'd like to talk about. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.